Hello folks, today I'm going to provide you with a bit of information on why most people actually suck in your life. This has been something that I've been hearing this for a very long time, especially from empathic people who kind of seem to have a very bad time with a lot of people surrounding them, and they seem to have difficulty in finding people who, let's say it shortly, do not suck. Now, what does it mean when people suck? So many people say this, but so many people may not necessarily know what it means, and they most likely cannot go to the depths of the meaning of this. So when people suck, it usually refers to the fact that most people choose to become dependent on their situation. It's a conscious choice. Instead of choosing to do something better for their lives, instead of no longer pulling themselves down, they suffer from this fear of the unknown. The fear of the unknown is one of the strongest fears that consciousness can come up with. And most people, instead of doing something that could actually improve their lives, which may be daunting to many people, they will simply prefer sitting in their current situation and just living by that, because at least it's something that is known to them. They know what it is like, they know what they can expect, and it would be to them much more appropriate rather than simply trying something completely new, like for example learning how to improve yourself and how to provide value to people. Most people will actually try to pull you down. It is proven that the more authentic you want to become, the more you would work towards your own projects, your own improvements, the more people around you will try to pull you down. It's called a crab mentality. And, well, there was this little story about a fisherman who became very famous. He became very famous because in his village he was the only one who would fish crab, and he would succeed at doing that with a bucket that had no bottom. So the question to many was like, how can you actually, catch crab with a cylinder? Because a bucket without a bottom is like, it's like a cylinder. So someone actually plucks up the courage, and they go to this fisherman and they ask them, it's how are you actually capable of, catching crab um, with the buckets that you use? And he said, well, you see, when you hit a crab colony, right, or a big group of crabs, if you only catch like a few of them, 5, 10, 15 of them, that's not going to be necessarily good because you will miss them. But if you get to, catch like 20, 50 of them, the point with them is that their mentality is very simple and it's easy to exploit. The moment you catch some crabs, they enter this state that they are caught. So instead of actually trying to run away from that situation, what do they do instead? Well, instead they prefer using their pincers to pin down any other crab that wants to escape. So if they are caught, they will use their two pincers to keep any other crabs stuck along with them, because that's how their mentality works. So each crab will keep other two crabs, and each of those will keep other crabs, and so on and so forth. And believe it or not, they actually have a lot of strength in their pincers for their size, and they also have a lot of power to keep something pinched and pinned down. However, they don't need too much power to keep the others, stuck, because the moment they get stuck, they will just automatically try to get others stuck as well, instead of actually trying to do the simplest and easiest things to actually try to survive. So if you catch like 20 crabs, basically you can catch a few kilograms of these, just knowing this idea. Why have I said this? Because in most people's cases this is also their reality. We are usually surrounded by people who pull us down. Our environments are definitely not supportive enough of us, and yeah, basically that's the idea. Like, the problem is that the more you want to become authentic, the more you want to do things that you know you came on this planet to do, the more people around you will try to pull you down and get you, stuck back into the matrix, into the idea of slumber. And many people, when they become conscious that there is so much beyond the life they had lived when they were in slumber, their first their first thought will be to try to release the others. And upon doing this, you will most likely expose yourself to so many, many more people that will pull you down. And that's the great choice. If people at that choice choose to go back, they most likely will go back, and probably they will recover again at a later time, or they will simply choose to not go back and will desperately seek to change themselves, and it's like a no going back from then onwards. This is a part of enlightenment, of reaching a state where everything that you see and encounter is seen in the purest state, rather than through the prisms of the mind, and the opinions that the mind comes up with, and classifications and all the such that are nothing else than distractions. I, for one, in my life know one thing. I came here to be a demolisher of illusions. And I've never liked illusions ever since I was young. Even words and speaking are just illusions. They are a bunch of concepts that humans created, and I only use them to try to make myself understood by others. And if they cannot understand me, I'm fine with that. Far less distractions for me, and I move away. I'm not going to force anyone to actually follow me. And I do remind people that every time I tell them something, they should take it with a grain of salt, because my truth may not necessarily apply to them. So, people who suck are people who are negativistic, have narcissistic traits, not necessarily are narcissists. Narcissists are very important as people because, socially speaking, they are willing to do everything that is needed to put them in the spotlight, so they can actually end up building hospitals and a lot of things. I mean, believe it or not, but many, many cases of this actually happened. There are a lot of reasons why societies would actually have to be grateful to narcissists. And also, narcissists suffer a lot. And the greatest lesson they can teach empaths is that you have to love yourself. As an empath, you will always be drawing narcissistic people if you don't love yourself. The moment you start loving yourself, those people will actually start fading away. They will try to pull you down, but in the end, they cannot resist the juiciness of other people who would like instantly welcome them. It would be much more fulfilling to them to torment people who just expose themselves to that and definitely want that, rather than trying something even if it is a challenge. Not May not always work with all narcissistic folks. I will have some videos on that as well. However, people who suck will always try to pull you down. They will always moan, they will always complain, they will always try to make you feel as if it's always your fault. They will always gaslight you. They will probably use emotions against you. They will probably turn your friends against you. So a very simple way to figure out if someone would be a right fit for you is this. If they're not helping you evolve, then they're definitely a distraction. If the friend groups, the friend circles that you're living in is is preventing you from becoming better, then you're not living in a real friend circle. You're more like living in a cage, or something like that. You're like a bird trapped into a bird cage. And that says a lot, because if you don't have your freedom to express, and if people around you do not allow yourself to express, your inner voice will become inhibited. And your inner voice is the guidance that we have to listen to in order to not fail. It is that which will guide us and which will always remain pure to ourselves, because it is part of that which we truly are, beyond the masks, right, and the personas that we imperson as people of society. Because we end up knowing that we will piss people off, and the more you will become yourself, the more people you will piss off. And the reason for this is because you are reminding them of how much of a failure they are, and they actually want to become you. They want to become probably even better than you, but they, unlike you and me and many other people, they are not willing to put the work that's necessary in order to preserve yourself and to become better and better each and every day. So all I am telling you is keep up the good work. Don't mind the spiteful tongues. Whatever you are doing is the best you can at the right pace for you. If you are new to my channel, feel free to subscribe and follow my ideas. Don't forget to take them with a grain of salt, because I'm never going to force people into believing me. Some truths may apply for them, some truths may not apply to them. Everything is relative in this world. Hope you are going to have a very awesome year, a much more fulfilling one, and all I can say is have an awesome time. You are loved and appreciated.